If you're a young professional and just not sure what Denver neighborhoods are the best for you, this video is going to go over my personal 3 favorites for young professionals. I've gone through this chapter in my life and I want to share with you guys some of the neighborhoods that I feel are really the best, again, for young professionals. You don't want to miss this one. Stay tuned. All right, so let's get started. So as I said, today's gonna be all about best Denver neighborhoods for young professionals. I'm right now a little bit over 40 years old, so I've been through this chapter of my life already, but I definitely have some wisdom to share with you from my personal experiences with some of these Denver neighborhoods. Everybody's different. Some people are really looking for areas that are more social. Others might be really focused on that outdoor lifestyle. Everybody's different when it comes to where they're at in life as a young professional. So I wanted to really create 3 neighborhoods here to share with you that give a really well-rounded depiction of some of these options that are available to you, young professionals. So let's go ahead and get started with my first neighborhood. And these 3 aren't in any particular order, but I wanted to start with one that I have lived in myself for a long period of time, and that's the Sloan Lake West Highlands area, also known as Lohi. And the reason I wanted to start with this one is I think this is the perfect blend for young professionals where it really has that city living with a more local feel. And what does that mean? Well, what I'm trying to get at there is you have some of the best location in all of Denver directly across Federal Boulevard from downtown Denver. So you are in an area that is just incredibly in close proximity to a ton of activities for young professionals. Whether that be going to happy hours and networking with other young professionals after work, you have so many options here that are all literally within walking distance, as well as just a lot of the other cool stuff that I know I really enjoyed when I was in my 20s, such as the Denver Broncos Stadium, Coors Field, the Pepsi Center, now known as Ball Arena. All of the stadiums and sporting events are right out your back door when you live in West Highlands and Sloan Lake. And it just really is, I think, the best perfect blend of location along with being surrounded by a lot of other people that are a similar age and similar place in their life. So depending on how familiar you are with Denver, an area that is also pretty popular that I chose not to put on this list is an area called Rhino, also known as River North. And Rhino is very close to Highlands and Sloan Lake, but the reason I didn't want to put that one on the list today is because that to me really still felt a lot more like a college environment. By saying that, I just mean a lot of the condos and apartments are a lot more kind of urban where they're concrete buildings, don't have much character to them. You'll find a lot of just trash and debris, people partying all the time. And that's great. And a lot of people still want to do that as young professionals. But I think what makes Highlands and Sloan Lake so special is you have that accessibility to areas like Rhino, and you still have a very upbeat, very social type demographic of residents in these West Highlands and Sloan Lake areas, but just a little bit more mature, and you're just kind of progressing into that next chapter of your life where you still have all of that available, but it's just not quite as crazy or chaotic. And I say that just from my own personal experience. Rhino, that River North area, is just feels to me at least as a lot younger demographic in comparison to Highlands and Sloan Lake. The one challenge though is Highlands and Sloan Lake are very popular for all ages and all types of people, which makes it still one of the most popular areas in Denver. So real estate prices are going to continue to be quite high. However, I do also want to point out, if you are a young professional and maybe somebody that's very motivated and wants to put in some sweat equity into your home, meaning do some of these projects yourselves, maybe fix up the backyard, get your hands dirty, do some of this work yourself to add value by forcing appreciation through doing some of this hard work yourself. There's definitely some great options in Sloan Lake and Highlands, and this area is continuing to expand further and further out. Some other areas directly around here, like Jefferson Park, Sunnyside, and even areas a little bit further west, like Edgewater, still have a lot of great options. So if you are considering buying a house, so I'm gonna put all my info down below, phone number, email. Feel free to reach out, shoot me a text. I could definitely share a lot of just personal insights on these areas and including where I actually owned a home in this area for several years, and just some of these options that are available even if your price point isn't $1 million. So definitely still some really good, just hidden gems in Sloan Lake, Highlands, and these surrounding areas for young professionals. So definitely worth checking out. Now, before we move on to my second neighborhood for young professionals, what I'm gonna do for all three of these is just give you guys a quick 3 location drive time, commute time, just to put things into perspective. Since so many people I know that are young professionals still might have to go somewhere for work, they might not be working remotely full time. So the 3 places I'm gonna give you guys are downtown Denver, the Denver Tech Center, and then also just the Denver International Airport. So downtown Denver from Highlands and Sloan is incredibly close. In fact, a lot of the times you could even walk to work on a sunny day, or if nothing else, rent one of those little Lime scooters for a couple bucks and just have a little bit more fun of an adventure to commute to work for the day. So very, very close to downtown Denver if you live on this western neighborhood of Sloan Lake and Highlands. If you're trying to get to the Denver Tech Center, that can be a bit longer in that 25 to 30-minute range. However, Highlands, Sloan's, you are right on I-25, so you're gonna be on the highway within 5 minutes, and then it's just a straight shot south to get to the Denver Tech Center. So a very easy commute, with the exception of possible traffic depending on what time of day you're going down to the Denver Tech Center. And then last but not least, the Denver International Airport, it tends to be about 35 minutes from the Highlands Sloan Lake area. This also can vary a bit depending on how fast you're going and also just what time of day you're traveling. But I think that really it's a very easy commute if you live in this area to the airport. I always still end up just driving to the airport whenever I go, maybe parking in some of the extended parking out a little bit further out. But if you are also though somebody that likes to really leverage the public transportation system in Denver, I will say that Union Station is very close to the Highlands Sloan Lake area. So you could easily just get over there and then take a light rail straight to straight to the Denver International Airport and have a very flawless, very easy experience using public transportation to get to the airport. And that actually goes for the same for going down to the Denver Tech Center. All right, so now jumping right into the second neighborhood that is great for young professionals. I personally haven't lived here, but I will say I have a ton of friends that have and still do, and it really does seem like a really good stepping stone going from, I mentioned earlier, Rhino, River North. Maybe you lived somewhere like that for a few years after college and now you're ready to maybe purchase your first home, or you just want to get to some place that might be a little bit more mature, not a suburb, like total suburb type feel, but at least a little bit more go in that direction. If that's maybe you, then this number 2 neighborhood is a great choice. And this is going to be what's known as Central Park, formerly known as Stapleton. So Stapleton used to be our airport prior to the Denver International Airport getting built about 25, maybe it's 30 years ago at this point. This Stapleton Central Park neighborhood has been completely revamped and seen an incredible transformation. I think this is one of the areas in the direct proximity to Denver that I've seen the most change and most positive change just to how it used to be compared with where it is today. Back when I was a kid, 30 years ago in Denver, there's always been this Purina dog food plant that's right off of I-70. It's kind of always been an eyesore. If you're familiar at all with Denver, you know what I'm talking about. And it always has a pretty bad smell associated with it. And that's always just, in my mind, what I associate with Commerce City and just this part of Denver. What I really like about Central Park and Stapleton is you're a little bit from here, but pretty close in proximity to this Purina dog plant area. But it totally has transformed from those days, 25, 30 years ago. It now is a beautiful place where there's a ton of different parks, different master plan communities. It is just seeing a complete 180 transformation. And, I think people that came from my generation, as far as, the 30 to 40-year-olds that have been in Colorado and Denver their whole lives, there is still a little bit of a stigma attached to this part of Denver. And really, there's no reason for that. And something that I've, since becoming a realtor several years ago, I don't think about this area with that same stigma that I used to. So if you guys are maybe a local Coloradoan and you are watching this video still, I would also just, urge you guys just to kind of look past that and definitely give Central Park, formerly Stapleton, another chance, because there are some beautiful homes. And one of the reasons why I want to include it today as one of these top 3 neighborhoods is if you are a young professional and you're at that point of being ready to maybe purchase a home, you get so much more home for your dollar in this area. So when you're over in the Sloan Lake Highlands area, you might be paying close to $1 million for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home that's fairly upgraded and newer. In Central Park, Stapleton area, you might only be paying $450,000 to $550,000, maybe $600,000. So nowadays, a lot of homes that are being purchased are new construction homes. One of the reasons that is especially popular right now as we go into 2025 is interest rates are a little bit higher than what we, were very lucky to have a few years ago when they were in the 2.5% to 3% range. Now we're above double that right now. And one way that you can always get around that is if you are buying new construction, a lot of the times the builders have an in-house lender, or at least they have an agreement with their preferred lender to be offering significantly lower interest rates. I actually just helped some clients that I found on YouTube, like you guys, that just locked in a 3.875% loan as an example. That's a 30-year fixed, 30-year mortgage. And that's literally about half of what you're seeing advertised as the kind of going rates for today. And one of the reasons why that is much more common right now with new construction homes is they just bundle all of that into their incentives and just the net amount that they need to get to make it a profitable transaction for the builder. It's all a numbers game, but I will just say though that in this Commerce City, specifically Central Park, Stapleton area, there are some great deals when it comes to being able to qualify for a loan and still get, being able to buy a home. So if some of that piques your interest when it comes to this new construction and these lower interest rate incentives, also want us to quickly just mention, I've got this very, very valuable, it's really in-depth, there's like over 50 pages, and it's a new construction guide that I put together a couple of weeks ago, completely for free. I'll put the link down in the show notes down below so you guys can get a free copy. This will really help you understand a little bit more about some of the benefits of buying new construction versus an older resale home. So definitely check this out. Before going on to this third and final neighborhood, one last thing I want to talk about with Central Park and Stapleton is if you are a young professional, you do probably have that blend of wanting to be networking and still connecting with a lot of other like-minded people as yourselves. There's going to be a ton of other young professionals living in the Central Park area. So even if you don't know a bunch of people currently over there, I guarantee once you live over there, it's going to be very quick to meet a lot of new friends and socialize and just build up a network of friends in that area. Stapleton has some really cool coffee shops, some bars, just a lot of stuff that really nurtures that type of networking environment. So it's definitely a great spot for that. And just going back to the 3 drive time commute times that you're gonna have if you live over here, to get to downtown Denver, you're looking at about 20 minutes. The Denver Tech Center is gonna be a little bit further if you are on this side of town. I would put it between 25 and 30 minutes. But the one that I think is the most valuable if you do want to live over in Central Park, Stapleton, is the airport. So if you travel for work and just want to have a very easy, direct commute to the airport, this is without a doubt the best of the 3 I've shared with you guys today. It's only going to be about 20 minutes commute time to get to the airport from Central Park, Stapleton. So really advantageous if you are traveling a lot for your position at work. And then now for the third neighborhood for young professionals. And again, these 3 aren't in any particular order, but I also wanted to include a neighborhood that I personally really valued as a young professional, and think you guys could too. And that's going to be Golden. So Golden has changed dramatically over the last 20 to 25 years. If you guys have watched some of my other videos, you know that I actually grew up in Applewood and Wheat Ridge, which is on the western side of Denver and actually connects to Golden. So I spent a ton of time in Golden growing up, and I've seen it transform especially over the last 10 years or so, but it is really becoming a much more social, just fun place to live. There's a ton of great restaurants and bars, a lot of just more unique styles of restaurants and bars than what are more commonly found in the more urban side of Denver. And a couple examples of this would be some of these beer gardens where you have food trucks, rooftop decks where you can really just walk in without needing to have a reservation, and you can just kind of do your own thing. And I think from a networking perspective, as well as just being a younger professional type, this is just such an awesome place to consider living. Not only do you have all of these networking, social type places to check out in downtown Golden, but then you are so close to some of my favorite trails in all of Colorado right out your back door. So a lot of people in Colorado, not everybody's into, the drinking and restaurants and that side of networking. So you might be in a position where maybe that's not really your thing and you'd prefer to meet up with some friends after work and go hike up Table Mountain. Or maybe you're in a sales type position, you're trying to meet a client and just talk through some things. Well, how cool is it where instead of needing to do that, at a busy bar or a busy lunch spot in downtown Denver somewhere, you can meet them down by the river in downtown Golden, or you can maybe go on one of these hikes up to one of the flat tops just to experience something a little bit more unique, maybe make that lasting impression on this other person and, stand out from some of the other people that maybe are also pitching them for a position or whatever it is that you're meeting with them about. So just wanted to kind of bring up the point that Golden is very different from the first two places that I've shared with you, but I think could also be a great option, especially for any young professionals that still really want to have that outdoor lifestyle and really blend the two together. That's kind of what I was when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I think Golden would have really suited me well if I was in Denver at that time. I was living up in the Aspen area, up in the mountains for about 14 years. So my young professional time, I was in a little bit different environment than maybe where you guys are at in Denver. So I think that for me, this would have been my spot that I would have gravitated towards if I was looking for that next place to live, after getting a bit older and moving into my young professional time of life. And one last thing before I move on. So if your career path is taking you towards anything in technology, engineering, some of those types of positions, School of Mines is located here in Golden, and it also just has a ton of other like-minded professionals through that university that exist in the Golden area. So if you are potentially an engineering background, this just could be an additional benefit to choose Golden as maybe your next home, just because of the networking opportunities you might have living in an area that's very densely populated with other engineering-minded professionals like maybe yourself. And then last but not least, when it comes to commute times for Golden, this is going to be a little bit longer than the other two neighborhoods that I shared with you. When it comes to downtown Denver, you are looking at about a 20 to 25 minute commute. However, it is a pretty easy drive. I've done this quite a bit actually in the past. My parents lived in downtown Golden for a few years, so I was staying with them occasionally for a day or two and had to make a commute a few different times to Denver and to these Denver Tech Center, to these different areas that I'm sharing with you. So about 20 to 25 minutes to downtown Denver, but a very quick, direct route through Highway 58 and then connecting that to I-70 and then to I-25. So, very easy accessibility even from a place as far west as Golden. So about 20 to 25 minutes to downtown Denver. And if you are needing to go out to the airport, this is going to be a bit longer, but you do also have a very direct route that you're going to take. So it's about 45 to 50 minutes to get from Golden to the Denver International Airport, but same idea. You're going to get onto Highway 58 and then just get that straight onto I-70, which will take you right to the airport. And then the Denver Tech Center, this also is going to be a bit longer, probably about 30 to 35 minutes. I would say this one is going to be a little bit more challenging because you have to get all the way over to I-25 and then just take that down south. So, all three though of these commutes, they're not horrible. In fact, I live down in Littleton now, and I have a pretty similar commute time really for all three of these that you would in Golden. It's just a different side of Denver. So I don't think Golden's significantly worse. However, there is more snow in the wintertime in this Golden area. So it's probably going to be comparable to other parts of Denver commute time wise in the summer and the fall. But when it comes to wintertime and that, some of those early spring storms that we can get, you definitely could be facing, maybe an hour to the airport and maybe 30 to 40 minutes to get to Denver if you are dealing with some bad weather. So keep that in mind, but I think that's a small price to pay to have the beautiful mountains directly out your back door on a daily basis when you live in Golden. All right, so there you have it. 3 neighborhoods that I personally think are at the top of my list for young professionals. So if that happens to be you, hopefully you got a little bit of value out of this video today. And if you stuck around till this point in the video and you're not a young professional, maybe these are just still some interesting talking points that are worth you considering wherever it is that you are in your life. I'm glad that you guys did, because I think all 3 of these neighborhoods, again, the Denver area, which is Highlands and Sloan Lake, as well as the Central Park, formerly known as Stapleton, and then Golden. All three of these are just phenomenal places to live regardless. So if you have any further questions about any of these, again, my phone number, my email, all that info is down below. Reach out. And before I close out this video, also just want to remind you guys that I just finished a brand new locals guide to Denver. I'm calling it my relocation guide because it's a little bit more catered towards people that might not be familiar with Denver and are out of state considering relocating here to Denver. But really, it's great for anybody that just wants to learn more about some of the different neighborhoods. In fact, I highlight over 20 of my personal favorite neighborhoods in Denver, favorite restaurants, best bars, parks, trails, all of that stuff, everything that Denver has to offer. So I want to make sure you guys are also able to get a free copy yourselves. So just click the link that's in the video description down below and I'll give you guys a free copy. It has a ton of great stuff and I just really want you guys to get one because a lot of my other clients and a lot of viewers like yourselves are getting a lot of value out of it. So I want to make sure you guys do as well. But close it out there. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Don't forget, hit that like and that subscribe button. Make sure you guys are the first to receive every new video, which I release on Mondays at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I want to make sure you guys also receive them as soon as they come out. Until next week, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you then. Bye.